my invitation for today's reflection is to really pause and examine, what is this unprecedented moment in our history teaching us about ourselves? How can this be a call to character for us to really see what we are truly made of? Is there a habit of behavior that is really present in moments of stress? Is there a habit of emotion that we tend to fall into when we are stressed? Are there particular thoughts that are most pervasive when we are stressed? So taking a moment just to pause and see, what might this week have revealed for us? This mindfulness practice for me has provided a platform for me to make meaning of my experiences, and for me to support myself in the moments when it gets really difficult. And so on one hand, I can bring a level of awareness to whatever is present, and I can see my reactive tendencies very activated. And with that mindful presence, I can choose to respond to the situation in the way that is most resourceful. And I can also bring a sense of compassion and kindness to the fullness of that experience. And so by bringing the combination of those two things, the insight and awareness, and being able to really ignite a certain quality of experience, and combining that with a level of compassion and kindness for whatever is present, I can learn to build capacity, to expand a window of tolerance, to really deal with whatever is present. It's interesting because a lot of people that I've communicated this week have said, I'm just getting through this. And what does it mean to get through something, to get over something, to get past something? And what might our tendency be? Do we try to bypass? Do we try to circumvent and move around it? What does it mean to really get through something? To feel our way through something without pushing it away or wishing that it was different. And so that is what we are practicing today, is what it means to really get through something by giving ourselves the space and inviting a certain quality of presence that will allow us to move through it. And so we'll start the practice by really just using the breath to calm our parasympathetic nervous system. And then we will transition into our RAIN practice, which will leverage mindfulness and the insight to reveal to us what needs our attention. And then we'll leverage compassion as a way to address and tend to that part of us that needs to be seen. And so I'll invite you to really do a very brief reflection today, just so you can get a sense of what it's like to practice these resources that are available to us. And so the first thing that we'll do is to use the power of the breath to really soothe our parasympathetic nervous system and bring a quality of calm, to relax ourselves and maybe explore areas of our bodies where we might be carrying some tension. So starting by just taking a few deep breaths, really with intentionality, deepening the inhale, and deepening the exhalation. Seeing what you might be able to notice about the breath, really gathering your focus and attention on the breath. And resting in this stillness. Asking, what is being revealed to me? What might need my attention? And in these next moments, just creating space to allow whatever is present to emerge. As you ask yourself, what needs my attention? So noticing the thoughts that might come up, the emotions that might be present, or even just the sensation. You might notice a rush of responses emerging to the top. And so turning to your intrinsic wisdom to guide you to the response that needs your attention the most. See if you can identify whatever it is that is most predominant. Noticing the thought, the emotion, or the sensation that is most predominant for you, and seeing if you can name what that is. Then shifting to the practice of allowing, shifting to explore what it might be like to accept the nature of our experience by asking, how can I let this be? You might choose to acknowledge this experience by letting it know that you see it. You might say out loud, I see you. I see you anger. I see you frustration. I see you fear. How can you make room for this experience to be with you? And perhaps as if making room for this experience to share a seat on a bench. See how you might be able to invite this experience to sit with you. And by creating this space, by inviting the experience to sit with you, we are really expanding our capacity to hold the fullness of our experience. allowing the fullness of life to unfold as it may. Allowing the spaciousness and noticing if perhaps you might have been distracted. This is a moment when it is likely that your mind has wandered off as a way to escape the experience. And so if that is the case, just acknowledge that that's what has happened and gently bring your attention back to the breath, allowing the breath to support you in grounding yourself and really gathering your focus and attention. So tuning in here to the quality of your breath. Reminding yourself that you can in any moment start again. So shifting back to this experience that you've been able to identify, this part of your experience that needs your attention. And shifting now from the cognitive processing of thinking, recalling, and reliving this memory, from rationalizing this experience and allowing yourself to shift into your body and explore the nature of our issues to manifest into our tissues. And so the invitation here is to see if you might be able to locate the part of your body where you are carrying this experience, and offering some guidance to explore if perhaps you can notice a sensation of tightening in the throat or the chest. You might notice some sensation in the stomach, your hands, your ears, the face. See where in your body has a sensation that is really obvious to you in this moment. And really tuning into that part of your body, starting to explore the nature of this sensation and seeing what you might be able to notice. And whatever might be present for you in this moment, the invitation to surrender to your breath. Finding support in the breath. And rather than turning on yourself or having this experience, what might it be like for you to turn to yourself? Asking the question of, what does this part of me need? What do I need? And trusting yourself to provide a response that is true. So without judgment, without trying to force anything, just see what comes up when you ask yourself, what do I need? Sensing if perhaps you might need to be okay, to feel safe, to be comforted, to feel a sense of reassurance. And then experimenting with what it might be like to comfort yourself. And here we will practice our capacity for goodness, our innate capacity for love and care. And so a few things you might like to try, maybe just bringing a smile to the face and smiling with the experience. You might try resting a hand on the chest, bringing your hand on your heart, to your heart. You might try holding yourself, resting your hands on your shoulders or maybe holding your elbows, and as if holding or hugging yourself. You might try just holding your hand as if holding the hand of a child, the hand of a loved one. Go ahead and see what it might be like to offer a physical embrace to yourself. And if this is somewhat uncomfortable for you or difficult, an invitation to practice what it might be like to be comforted by a place or person that you love and trust. And so you might imagine the comfort of your bed and curling up under the blankets and what that's like. You might imagine the warm embrace of a loved one, either past or still with us. But imagine for a moment what it's like to surrender to comfort, surrender to safety. And just allow yourself, whether holding yourself or imagining being held by a person or place that is comfortable for you, just take a moment to notice what it feels like to be held. This practice of surrendering to comfort and safety is our internal resource. And so practicing what it's like to put this resource in play and surrendering to that comfort, to that care, to that love that is always available. Your safe place. Taking a moment now just to reflect on your experience, to notice your state of mind, your state of being, and to see what might be present now. Noticing if you can sense a quality of calm, of peace, of relaxation. Or on the other hand, you might feel agitated, restless, distracted. So whatever your experience might be, without judging the nature of your experience, just taking a moment here to really honor yourself for taking this time to connect with yourself, to connect with our community. I'll invite you to give an offering of loving kindness. So thinking about your family, your loved ones, the people in your community, the healthcare professionals and everyone on the front line who are risking their lives to serve the community. Connecting to our fellow citizens around the world. And I'd like for a moment, if you could imagine what it's like to notice the presence of someone else. Noticing the warmth, noticing their energy, and to imagine yourself in a room filled with other people sitting and meditating, feeling a sense of connection, a sense of community. You might choose to place a hand on your heart and offer loving kindness to this community. May you be well. May you be healthy and safe. May you be calm and at peace. You might choose to repeat those words or fill in the words that feel good for you. Go ahead and in this next moment, offering loving kindness to your community. And now turning towards yourself, offering loving kindness to you. Again, trusting your intuition to guide you, to offer yourself the words of comfort and kindness that you may need. And so take this next moment to offer that loving kindness towards yourself. Imagining a friend offering these words to you. Go ahead and whisper these words to yourself. We'll bring our practice here to a close by taking a few deep breaths at your own pace. On the inhale, allowing the nourishments of this practice to cleanse you. And on the exhale, really allowing yourself to let go and release. Gently bringing your attention back to the room, you might notice the sounds. You might gently bring movement back into your body by maybe moving the feet and the hands, maybe shifting the head from left to right. Up and down. And when you're ready, gently opening the eyes and bringing your attention back to the room. So, admittedly, this is a recording after our reset session today. I didn't remember to record live, and so I just want to share some of the reflections that members of the community shared with us while we were on the session that really stood out to me, and then I will share some reflections and things that we might be able to practice, a few offerings that we can keep in mind this week. And so Elena shared that the practice for her brought clarifying stillness to her mind and body. Dawn shared that it was her first session, and so we welcome her. She shared that she enjoyed it and that it allowed her to take time out for her. Brandy shared that it felt like a hall pass to her center, to her safe place. Thank you, Brandy. Angela shared, thank you so much. What you are doing is making a true difference, maybe even more than you might know. I feel blessed and nurtured and just an overall calmness. Thank you so much. Peter, who was calling in from the UK, mentioned that routine is good and that he needs more, and shared how it sounded like I needed this session just as much as those who joined. Share that it was his first group meditation. So thank you. And yes, absolutely. It's interesting to observe myself as a meditation practitioner and as a meditation teacher, observing myself going through this very unprecedented moment in our history and really noticing again what I'm really made of. And I'd like to share a reflection from a talk that my mindfulness teacher shared this week, Tara Brack. She said, all difficult emotions have intelligence. They have a positive intention, and if our attitude is to get rid of them, then we are at war with ourselves. But if instead we appreciate the intention and we bring presence to it, then we can get through the experience to the sacred space. And so this statement was really the inspiration for our practice today, that as we find ourselves telling ourselves, you know, I need to get through this, I will get through this, we will get through this, is to remind ourselves that the presence of these emotions, no matter how difficult, is here to tell us something, is here to teach us something, is here to show us something. And just as a child who is trying to get our attention wants to be seen, these emotions want to be seen. The presence of fear is a reminder that we need to protect ourselves in some way. And so this week, the invitation is that in moments of difficulty, to pause and let the emotion know that you see it. And to explore perhaps what it might mean to be okay with not being okay. And in those moments, to surrender to the breath. Surrender to the comfort and calm and stillness that the breath has to offer. And in that sacred pause, to choose with more resourcefulness and more thoughtfulness how you'd like to respond to that experience. I'm reminded this week that suffering, there's a really neat equation that says suffering is pain times resistance. And so pain might show up in different forms. It might show up in physical pain. It might show up in pain in terms of having a difficult experience or experiencing a very difficult emotion. And so the pain will naturally be there, especially as we all try to navigate this coronavirus global pandemic. But the extent to which we suffer through this experience is really our choice. And what makes the difference is the attitude that we bring to that experience. And what we practice today is what it looks like for us to have the experience and not push it away, not wish that it was different, but to really just create space to sit with that emotion. Pema Chodron sometimes says to make friends, to be friends with ourselves and with our experiences. And so that is my invitation this week, is to, one, explore what it might be to be okay with not being okay, and to meet the difficulty of whatever experience we might be having with compassion. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your experience. I invite you to join our virtual community by even commenting below and sharing what this experience of listening to this video has been like for you. And if you'd like to join our live sessions each Sunday, feel free to visit my Instagram page. There is a registration link there so you can join us live. And if there is a friend or someone in your network that you think might benefit, please go ahead and share this video with them as well and invite them to join too. Our community is growing quite rapidly and is such a source of comfort for me. And so thank you so much for being a part of our community. Thank you.